I seen you in the hospital.
Yeah.
What happened, bro?
The short version is I got shot twice, man. I got shot twice by a 13-year-old kid. He didn't get put away, man. He was dismissed without prejudice because it was my word against his, and I wasn't willing to say that I was 100% sure. I said I was 99% sure to the prosecutor. If I knew I was going to be who I was today from that,
Yeah.
I'd call that kid up and say, "You want to shoot me again?" It was the best thing that ever happened to me, hands down, man. And I try to explain to people, like, it doesn't matter if I got shot twice or somebody just slapped you on the wrist. Like, if it's the worst thing you know, it still feels the worst.
Totally.
And I don't think I've ever had a podcast pull this out of me, man. Like,
So what's going on, everybody? So on today's show, we have none other than Michael Venidis from Rhino. What's going on, bro?
how are you?
Man, I'm glad you're on the show.
Bro, I'm glad to be here.
Right?
Thank you.
You're
Thank you for
killing
having
it.
me.
Like, you know, sometimes I don't have entrepreneurs or business owners, but I like to have the leaders in the industry, people that are killing the game, that are living their best life, you know, that got a nice story to tell that others can learn from. And I think, you know, you qualify for that for sure, bro.
Thank you, man.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, so I'm glad you came on. By the way, that's a nice hat, bro. That's like, that's some killer marketing.
One of a kind, man.
Where's my
One of
hats
a
at?
kind.
Bring one of my hats. Oh, bring them all. I'm going to give them one. Don't
man,
don't
that's
die.
awesome,
Don't
man.
die coming in here. Trip over the cameras. Yeah. So these ones, we had these made.
Oh, these are nice.
So yeah, pick one.
These are nice. What one should I pick?
They're not bad. They
This
almost look the same. White or black.
Oh, dude, I gotta go black,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
because I
yeah.
get it all dirty, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I take care of my hats.
Yeah.
Take
So
care of my hats.
I seen something, and there's a story. You've told the story. I seen you in the hospital.
Yeah.
Was this recently? Like, how I mean, recent can be in a lifetime.
Yeah.
But this is an impactful story. Like, what happened, bro?
Yeah, man. This is 2012.
Yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
you know, it's 12 years ago at this point, but I didn't really start openly talking about it as much as I do
Till
within
recently.
the past year.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I was here in Phoenix. I was downtown at an art walk, just hanging out with some friends, and
Did you say art walk?
yeah,
Oh,
First
shit.
Friday.
First
you
Friday.
ever been?
I have.
Yeah, just downtown and checking out the art, having some beers,
Yeah,
you know, roaming
everybody's
around.
out and about. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, the short version is I got shot twice, man. I got shot twice by a 13-year-old kid.
Oh, it wasn't an artist
part
that
of the
shot you?
gang.
I thought you were trying to steal the artwork. You're like, give my art back.
No. Attempted robbery, unfortunately.
So they tried to rob you.
Yeah. And like of all the people, I didn't have my wallet, so like it sucks. Like the kid just picked the wrong guy, man.
Hey, do you think it was like initiation? Did they arrest them?
Yeah. I mean, basically, when we were walking home, there were these kids on the corner, you know, and this gal that I was with had too much to drink and she started running her mouth, you know, and she drew a lot of attention. And there's like a group of these kids, and things escalated to a point where I'm like, I can't force her to come with me as I'm trying to get out of this situation. So like I proceeded to walk on, like get out of there. Like I was basically walking back to the car to go home, and as I cut through this park, somebody rolls up behind me. It's just me and them, you know, and basically they wanted the cell phone because I didn't have the wallet. And after the shooting happened, they just freaked out, ran off. They never took the phone. So when the cops returned it from evidence and we were going through the photos, like shock threw me out. I didn't realize that I had taken pictures on the corner. Like I had a bad, you know, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of worried. Like this doesn't feel right. So when I took the photos, I was able to actually turn it into a silent witness program, and that's how we were able to find the kid. And
So you were taking photos of surrounding.
yeah, I took photos when we were on the corner, and things started heating up
Yeah,
between
you're like,
the
something's
drunk
going down.
gal
Yeah.
that I was with. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like I even texted my buddy, you know, that we went with, because it was kind of like an informal double date. Like I wasn't dating the girl. Like we were just both like third wheels, you know.
Yeah.
And I even texted him, like, I don't feel good about this, man. Like, this isn't going to go well. We're talking like 5-6 dudes, me and her. You know, like, this isn't
So
going to go well.
she's talking crap to these dudes? Or?
It was like a rap battle, as silly as it sounds, man. Like, we were, you know, like, people were drinking,
Yeah.
and I'm like the babysitter.
And it was
like,
getting heated.
yeah, I don't have my ID, so I couldn't really, like, partake. Like, I'm pretty sober, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's insane. And
Yeah.
so you said it was a 13-year-old kid.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't think that until, you know, you look at the picture, he didn't look 13, but like, yeah, when the cops finally found him and the silent witness program turned him in, we found out 13-year-old kid, man.
Yeah.
13. His buddy that was with him, because there was 2 people in the photo that they were able to identify. So the accomplice was, even though he wasn't there when the shooting happened, like he was part of the group. I think he was 15, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
So, I mean, these are just young kids, man.
Yeah.
Wild.
They have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, still to this day, I'm like, this is just crazy to me. You know, I got friends with 13-year-old kids, and I meet them, and I'm going, like, it just blows my mind that that's possible. Like, a 13-year-old kid could do something like that.
Dude, I was 13 at once, and I was insane.
You know, getting into trouble, hanging with the wrong crowds, doing scary things, bad things, you know.
I got jumped in a gang at 11.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the kids, you know, they want to be tough, and, they, you know, sometimes they're dared to do something like, you know, an older dude's like, hey, I dare you to go rob that guy.
Yeah.
And then they already have a gun. They see the older guys shooting people and doing stupid stuff, and they're like, oh, this is my opportunity. Yeah,
it's wild. You know, I mean, fast forward 12 years, you know, just a month ago, I had an opportunity to go to Orange County Juvenile Detention Center. And I got to speak to 35 of these these kids.
That's cool. Yeah.
And the whole idea was my 4th grade teacher's idea. Like, I still talk to her. She had found me on Facebook, and, you know, she goes, hey, like, you know, if you got shot by a 13-year-old, like, why don't you go share your story with these kids and try and make a difference in the world? And I'm like, duh, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I did like a leadership development course, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and I just met the right person who had access to a juvenile hall. So he got me in, you know, I paid my way, flew out there, hoteled up for a night, went in there. And, you know, when you're having conversations with these kids, that's what you said there just made me think about it, you know, because it's true. Like, they're so young that anything could happen because of the things that you're describing, what they see, what they do. They don't really process it. They're still learning.
They have no clue.
You know, and I put it out there. I encourage these kids to write me, you know. It's a common thing that my mentor says. He says, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah,
right? Action's key. So I said it, you know. I've gotten 4 letters from these kids now, and it's just wild. Like, hearing their stories, you know. And let me tell you, like, it fills your heart, man. Like, when you're having that type of level, that type of conversation, a 13-year-old who, you know, has just been sentenced to life without parole. You know, like, what? Imagine having a conversation like that with somebody.
Yeah, and they're so young, they don't know. It just they're literally a product of their environment. You know, you know, they get involved in these gangs and these crews or whatever they are, these criminal activity, and the older guys could care less. You know, their parents are trying to fight for them, but they don't want to listen to the parents.
Right.
You know, and so they're running around causing a ruckus, not even knowing the damage they're causing.
Right. Yeah.
To everyone.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, and I learned a lot of things when I was in there. Like, not just that, but like, you know, when you're in these facilities, man, like, you realize there's really 2 fights that are happening. Like, the battle number 1 is like learning how to adapt to a new environment, which you're locked away with. You know, I'm just going to say toxic people, right? They're not all guilty, and there's a lot of them that aren't toxic, but I just say it's a toxic environment. That's what I mean by that.
It's definitely a toxic environment.
You know, like you put somebody in a circle with toxic individuals, they become toxic. That's all I'm trying to say here, because I don't want to be disrespectful to all of the people that are wrongfully.
At that point, they got to survive.
Right. Well said. But I think what people commonly overlook is, for the ones that do get out, there's a whole second battle you got to fight, man. You got to readapt. You got to go back out into society, you know, after you've been conditioned to protect yourself or adapt to that environment. And then it's hard enough to get out, man. You get out with $20 in your name, you know, whatever it is, like, and you're kind of like, so what do? I go back home because it's what I know. I need to do something. But what we don't realize is, like, you can't expect an outcome if there's a different outcome if you don't change anything.
Yeah,
you're going right back into the same world with the same people and getting yourself in the same problems.
But, you know, the issue with, like, jail, prison, even the military, they're all the same, right? So the issue with the adaptation to the society when they come out is they're so used to being told what to do.
Right.
They open cells or doors or food, lunchtime, dinner time, shower time.
Right.
Like they're not having to do anything on their own, and so when they come out in this real world, besides missing the fact of things changing and technology changing, all that stuff, they're behind. Well, nowadays they got iPads in prison.
Right.
I don't know why, but they don't know how to respond on their own, and so they come out here in the free world, and it's like they don't want to wake up because who's gonna wake me up? Who's gonna feed me?
Right.
Who's like, and now it's like a struggle. Like you said, it's a mental thing. It's insane.
Yeah.
I like that you went out there, but you know what? You said something earlier when you took the pictures of your surroundings.
Yeah.
I think that's crucial for young adults, especially today. When you're out somewhere, check out your surroundings, take some pictures, because you just never know what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And we're not like, we all want to be tough guys or tough women or whatever, but it's like, you don't know. Like, dude had a gun.
Right.
You're not going to outfight that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I mean, being mentally alert, being active. I mean, I see it both ways, right? Like, I see the exact point you're making, and I also see, like, put your phone away too. Like, be aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, because like when we go to New York a lot, and we tell the kids, stop looking at your phone. Yeah, because you're not even paying attention at how you're going, where your surroundings or nothing.
Yeah.
You're just walking down. The wall. Well, anything, you can get robbed really quick. You're not even seeing, because at least you're walking, you pay attention to who's who.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, know your surroundings, because like you just never know what's gonna go down in today's world or the past. It's and I think like another thing is, for me, I don't party at all, and so it's one of those things is like, don't put yourself in that situation. That's right. Not to say you did, but a lot of people do. They put themselves in a bad situation, and something bad happens, and now it's out of your control.
Dude, I mean, you couldn't be more right, okay? Like, nothing good happens after midnight, whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to go to an art walk downtown and people are drinking and, crowds are hanging out, like, you're at risk, You're
at risk.
And it's hard for sure. I mean, I get it. Like, you try to have fun. You have a good time in your life. You go experience things. It's hard because you can't live your life in fear every day. I mean, the truth is anything could go wrong at any moment, no matter how safe you are or what positive choices you make. But I love that you live your life that way, man. Because, like, I do believe, our businesses are a reflection of who we are as people. I believe our teams, our expectations or standards is a reflection of who we are as people. And if you're applying your time towards self-improvement, and making sure you're mindful of how you spend it, where you spend it, who you spend it with, I think that's a reflection, man. It trickles down. It's probably why you've got something great going here, man.
Yeah. What's crazy though is like guys like you and I, is it takes us a little bit to learn those things. For sure, and I tell the young guys, I'm like keep learning now.
Well, yeah.
Go listen to some really good podcasts, not those ones where they're all crazy or it's some sad story or some book or something that's fake.
Right.
Like, listen to some real substance, And for me, I'm a Christian, so I'll listen to, political things, worldly things, and then I also will listen to biblical Christian pastors and different teachings and stuff like that. So I try to get a little balance going on.
Yeah.
So my mind's not all screwed up.
But everything you just said in some way fills your heart or your mind.
Yeah.
With wisdom, awareness. I think it's purposeful. I think that's it. I think it's important to be thoughtful with what you're doing and what the outcome is of what you're trying to accomplish. It's stuff, because I know people that love reading, fantasy books and watching movies or, spiraling into Netflix. And I get it. Like, if that brings you comfort, that's great, but I think you have to ask yourself, what else could be happening in this moment? And do you truly want to be great at something? Like, are you passionate and motivated about something enough, so much, that you think about every single minute? It's like you want to be Kobe, you want to be LeBron, you want to be Jordan.
Yeah, you can't be sitting at watching Netflix. You got to go be on the court.
That's right. Like, you watch the way they live their lives every day. You're never going to surpass them unless you understand how they spend every waking minute and figure out how you do that micro moment, that one little thing more than they did.
Totally.
That's what I believe. Figure out what you love. And some people spend their entire lives never really truly understanding who they are, man. It's wild.
It is wild.
It's wild.
No purpose.
There's a book called The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. And he talks about this. Like, I love this book so much. Small, quick read, and it's very, I describe it as it should be a prerequisite to every student before they enter the workforce. Because if we spent the time, you know, in our younger years, truly focused on understanding who we are, I think that it would serve us well to figure out, how do you spend that time, you know, instead of Netflix and doing those things. Like, how do I create the roadmap, man, for my dream? I want to triple down, like, right when I know what it is. And I think it's on us, like, as parents, too, to realize that and guide them and really encourage them, even if it's not what we want them to do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, and I think, like, as parents is, you give your children the tools, right? You're giving them tools, and I told my wife, you know, my oldest is 22, the next one's 21, the other one's 19, and then 16. So it's, you give them the tools, you're teaching them how to use it, and then they may not want to use it for a little bit,
Right.
but they still have the tool,
Right.
you know, and maybe in 10 years they're like, it's time to use this wrench.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like, if you put it there, there's a day and a place where something may occur in which they really finally, they're up against the wall. Like, they have to try it. They have to use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I following you?
Yeah, yeah. But I like today, I think there's so many different ways to learn. And I think the problem, like when we're talking about like purpose, not knowing what you're you know, what you're capable of, what you want to do, is today it's like everyone has the opportunity to learn the most ever, like in the history of time, right? Because it's given to us, like it's right on our phone. You know, you can look up anything, good or bad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but now it's like, what do you do with it?
Right.
That's the trick, is what do you do with it? You know, when we're learning something, how do you apply it? Are you giving it back to the world?
That's right.
You know, so like when I'm learning something, I'm trying to give it back immediately. If I learn a quote, I'm like, I want to post a quote. I want to text a friend. I want to give it back. You know what I mean? And so I think more of us need to learn how to give it back and say, okay, I got this knowledge, right? And people say knowledge is power. Well, knowledge is nothing. It's a freaking dead weight if we don't start to apply it, right? And I think that's what the problem today is. A lot of young adults don't apply the knowledge. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because everything's so fast.
That's right.
They don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's so true. And I used to say that a lot. You know, knowledge is power, wisdom is power, right? I would think, well, what you know, I mean, that's you have access to anything. And listening to you just now made me go, man, I never thought about it that way. But, you know, we said it earlier, right? Don't talk about it, be about it. Like, action is the key, man. Execution is the key, you know? And I think the perfect, like, concept I teach some of the rhinos, you know, back at the office, I learned this: progress over perfection, man. And what I learned, right, is progress is action.
Progress is action.
Fail fast.
Yeah.
Move fast, right? Like, and I think as much as I admire wisdom and I love having the source to continue to grow and be educated, you don't take action, man, it's never going to work. It's never going to mean anything, to your point.
It's true. I've met too many young, when I say young adults, they could be older than me. And I mean, like, trying to be entrepreneurs or whatever, you know, leaders, is the perfection kills them.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't kill them. Literally, it stops them in their tracks.
It's so true, man. Like, I was that guy.
Were you?
I literally was that guy. Like, perfection. I always thought that, like, well, if I want to hold myself to a higher standard than everybody else, it has to be perfect. So I would get stuck in that, you know? And I, like, you know, the intent was pure. Like, my head was in the right place. Like, I wanted to be the best. But it was such a short-sighted thing, right? Like, when you're chasing the quality of something and the perfection because you've got something to prove, I think it's a little bit of a different strategy. And I think it'll still help you get places. Like, if you care and you're striving for perfection, I think that it'll result in some great things.
Yeah.
But I think that you're going to get, you know, you're going to get to where you want to go a lot faster in life, you know, and accomplish the things you set out to do if you change your approach a little bit and lean more into what you're saying to your viewers right now, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about it, like, anybody who's great, like these guys, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all these great guys, none of them waited for perfection.
That's right.
They all started, I started the same way in my garage.
Yeah.
My house, right? So it's like, you just start, you know, you're going to suck.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter. Look, Jose's just learning. Look at him. You're going to suck, Jose. But you're going to get better. If you want to.
That's right,
if
man.
you want to.
It's part of the process.
He's like, why'd you bring me in this?
I mean, I was doing this is a 2 a day, man. I had a podcast this morning too with a
cool.
good friend.
Heck yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit. And he asked me what suffering meant to me.
Okay.
And I told him it's the prerequisite to success. So to me, like, suffering was aligned with passion in a way. Tim Tebow said this at an event I spoke at maybe 2 years ago. He said, passion is when you love something so much that it creates pain. You suffer. And without suffering, you don't really understand things like gratitude, appreciation. Like, it's part of the process. So to your point, I think to suck at something, like to lose, to struggle, like these things, they're part of the math equation that equates to success. Like, you have to learn how to embrace them, appreciate them. And I think the minute you can change your mindset and your attitude on how to view those scenarios,
Totally.
Bro, you're just gonna, you're gonna take off.
I mean, I'm going through this. The audience, my listeners know, like this journey, a health journey. I've lost like 30-something pounds.
Congrats, man.
I say it's 34. Some people are like, nah. I'm pretty sure it's 34 pounds, right? So I'm losing weight. I'm working out. I'm getting stronger.
Good for you.
And it is suffering.
Yeah.
It's all about suffering. It's like, oh, I got to wake up and suffer. Yeah. But it's like, what's the result I want? What is it getting me? Now the suffering is starting to become a passion.
All right.
Like, I'm running longer, farther,
you
faster.
See the results.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like this. Now I'm starting to Google things like, what does it mean to do this? What is this? What does creatine do to my body? What is zone running or whatever it's called? I'm learning these things, and I'm like, man, I never would look up. Even when I was a kid, I didn't look this stuff up, right?
Right.
You know, so it's like the suffering's bringing out a new passion in me. So a lot of people need to get past that suffering and say, okay, well, what's the reward?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm going to suck at a new job or a new business or whatever. But if I get passion and I learn and become the best version of myself,
that's right.
What's the reward? And the reward's usually really, really good.
Right.
Like it's like was I telling you guys about construction yesterday? Yeah, huh? And I was like, because we were talking about construction, the guys, and I was like, and they were like, yeah, it sucks. I was like, yeah, you get dirty and you're breathing all kinds of fumes and there's loud and all this stuff's heavy. I go, but look what you get. Yeah. Look around. Yeah. If you get good at it, you could be blessed.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys drive past the jobs you do and you're like, I built that?
Oh, dude.
I used to do millwork when I was like 21. Oh, commercial millwork, man. And I would drive by this like Bank of America. And of course I tell my wife, I go, yeah, I built that.
Hey, every time too, right?
Every time.
Yeah. We're all over town, man. We've done over 1,000 projects, and these are commercial projects. They're not like little residential things. They're like it's millions and stuff. Yeah. And the kids would know. Yeah. Because I'm like, sometimes I'll turn around and show them. And they're older.
It's because you're proud,
I'm proud,
man, to
dude.
your point. Like, you go through this and you go, like, look what we built. Bro, listen, your podcast studio is gorgeous. Yeah. Like, I'm so honored to be here. Like, you built this. You guys did this. This is great. Yeah. And now you're creating a platform now the world to make a difference.
And I suck at podcasts, bro.
Dude, you're doing just fine. If you ask me, I've done a lot of these. But I will tell you this much. Like, I got fond memories of commercial construction. And I don't think I've ever had a podcast pull this out of me, man. Like there was this guy, his name was Enrique, and he was the lead installer for this commercial millwork company. And he made it so easy for me. Like, I was scared. I'd never done anything like that. Like, I didn't grow up using like all these, intimidating tools. And like, there's a lot of danger on the job site, man, Take your finger off, jigsaw, like all that. But he made it so easy. When I went out on the first day, he said to me, you got one goal. It's to predict what I'm going to ask you for next.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge.
It. That's all he said. And in that moment, the way he taught me, it was just like...
Write that down, Zion.
Well, because it created a system.
I'm going to use that line, because I tell people that, but I don't tell them that way.
But it's a game changer, right? Because like, for a systematic person, like a process, a standard operating procedure, what it did is it taught me the art of process. So like, you know, when he hung the cabinet on the wall, you know, I always knew like, well, first we've got to go and we got to measure, and it needs to be and you know, he would say, so, okay, after I measure, what comes next? What am I going to ask you for next? The fact that I had to always focus on having the tool in my hand ready, because he said, you win when I turn around and you got the right tool ready to hand me.
Yeah.
That's all he said. So it was a guessing game. And the way that he subconsciously taught me, it caused me to not just focus on having the right tool, because it was a fun kind of game. I thought like, well, what is the desire and the need for this tool? And what it made me do is actually learn, visualize, memorize. And, you know, before I knew it, I'm going to these, you know, dental offices, and I'm finding studs, hanging cleat, you know, putting the uppers like on the wall, like doing it all, man, you know. And all I had to do is just guess what tool came next. And it was always the same process. The process, I think, is essential, especially when you're building things consistently.
It is. And I think like when you talk about that is that when what he told you, in other words, besides you learning it, is you better make me look good.
Yeah, I was definitely making him look like he's doing his jobs 10 times
because you're
faster.
feeding them.
That's right.
My background here is commercial drywall, and I started metal stud framing at 17. And so I started at the very bottom, like, and in order to, I had to learn how to, same thing, how to feed the guy up top what he needed next. I didn't know at first, right? But I'm learning. Now I'm learning. Now I'm like, I got to a point where I was like 22 steps ahead.
That's right.
And now I'm helping him on the top.
Right.
Before
you know it, like you're ready to go. You're
yeah.
like, hey,
now I need the helper.
There's two of us.
Right. And so that's in life, is like, how can we get ahead? Yeah, I think PBD, I don't know if you know PBD, Patrick Bet-David, it's like, what's your next 5 moves? And so we need to think of, how do we get ahead? If we're working for someone, how do we help them shine?
That's right.
You know, everybody wants to shine on themselves. Well, in order for you to shine, you got to help someone else shine first.
Oh, I love what you're saying so much right now, man. Like, you know, Andy Hubaika is how I got on this show.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to him.
That dude's a killer.
He is a killer, man. You know, what I love about him is, like, he's a salesman, but, like, he says, don't stop selling and start helping. That's what he always says.
Yeah.
I quote him word for word now. Like, anytime I bring him up, 'cause he's a good friend of mine. But his father, Lou, also gave me a nugget that I'll never let go of.
Yeah.
And Lou says, it's not always about you. And it's such a simple thing to say, but the minute I really started like doubling down on that concept, and I said, everything that I do in my life is for someone else. Even what I do for me, right? Like the gym, the best version of you makes you the best father. For your 4 kids. I think you said you got 4, right? Like
everything
makes you the best husband, makes you the best leader, boss. And when you start looking at everything you do in your life as, I'm doing this for the greater good of someone else, it becomes so much more purposeful. Like, it's easy to become so much more passionate, inspired, motivated, because I don't look at it like, oh man, you know, I got to go lift the weight. Like, I'm like, this suffering, to your point, right? This discomfort, it's the currency, the price that I pay for the people that I love. I'm like, dude, my wife is gonna love this. Like these biceps, man, she's gonna love pecs. You know, but like when you find a way to like sculpt your mindset and look at everything you do in your life, every micro moment in that way, dude, I mean, let me tell you, and I like I say, I'm the most even-keeled, chill guy. Like, it's really hard to get me upset. It's really hard to get me thrown, you know, just for a loop, because I understand the importance of your mindset, you know, and I understand how to create gratitude and happiness, you know, just.
Hey, isn't it ironic? Like, and I could be, this could just be me, the way I'm thinking, but isn't it ironic that in order to do things for others, to be selfless, you have to be selfish, because you have, if you're not, like, if I'm not selfish about my time and wanting to be my best version on this fitness journey or in business or whatever, or the time I spent with whoever or whatever, it will never happen.
Right.
But that's ironic. Like, you have to be selfish to be selfless.
Yeah.
Because if you're just plain and simply selfless, that's like the grandma that never drove and only made food for everyone, never did nothing in life. I mean, it makes her happy. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's a good grandma. But what, like, is that what you want to teach your granddaughters?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to, I think there's an element.
There's going to be all kinds of mad grandmas.
But I mean, you know, you got to contribute to society, I think, is really the thing. It's like, as much as I love these concepts, I think Alex Hormozy says this, you know, he says, like, if you wanted to teach your child to be patient, would you give them what they want right away? That's not going to teach them to be patient.
No.
And what I realized in that moment is, like, I think it's important to us, like, as elders, as leaders, as parents, you know, like, as mentors, coaches, whatever, you name it, that we understand, like, giving them what they want is not the solution. Giving them the opportunity to learn what they want, that is the solution.
Yeah.
It's a common shortcoming we have, man, you know, like.
And it's hard to do that.
It is.
As a parent, because you want to give them everything you didn't have, and you're jacking them all up. And not my kid. So our niece and nephew are at our house a lot, and my brother-in-law got murdered in January.
Sorry.
You know, my wife's brother, and really hard time for the family, for their family, for me, you know, our family. And so my niece and nephew.
Man, my heart goes out.
Yeah, thank you.
Seriously, that's.
Yeah, it's very tough. Like, we're going through a murder trial and all this stuff. But his two youngest kids are at our house every day. They go to school now from our house. My wife took on this responsibility.
You took them on.
Yeah, and so they have their mom, but she's struggling.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we'll figure this out, you know. Yeah. And I don't even know what the hell I was saying, but like just going through that. Well, I don't know what we were talking about.
I mean, well,
this has something to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah, with the. We were talking about, you don't give them what they want right away.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Love them,
so I guess she'd be like a sister-in-law. So my nephew got in some little bit of trouble. He's in high school now, freshman, and she's like, "Not my son," and I'm like, because she's just giving him something like, you know. But the problem is, I told her, I go, if you're gonna keep sticking up for him when he's getting in trouble, he's gonna end up really bad. Yeah, he's a good kid, but if you don't punish him or like teach him that it's wrong, you know, it's one of those things where we're just handing him the stuff. Yeah, handing them the stuff, not teaching them what the real meaning of it is.
You know, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some expert, because my wife and I don't have kids. You know, so I can only imagine. But in the moments that I do imagine, I think a lot about, like, well, when they do something wrong, like, what does that punishment look like? You know, like when I was a kid, you know, I got my ass whipped. Like, that is old school. Like, you know, that's how it was back in the day. Like, you got spanked. You know, remember I put books in my pants once, dude. That was. My dad went to spank me. I had books in my pants.
Did he whip you more?
Oh, brother, that was like the one and only time I ever did it. I learned real quick. You know?
That's funny.
You know, jokes aside, I always ask myself, like, how do you create that lesson? What should that punishment look like? Is there a way to create hardship or suffering or discomfort to still reach the end result and like what you're trying to accomplish?
It's hard. Like, do you have any kids at all?
No, none? No. So I mean, I'm asking you, what is that like?
It's hard. It's almost impossible as a parent, like, because you can, you know, like for me, and I'll just be honest, like, so say like my kids say like they do something stupid, like they're not bad kids. Like 2 of them work here full time.
Oh, right.
They may have even all been here when you came in.
Okay.
Like, all of them. And it's like, well, I'm going to kick you out of the house, right? But then I'm like, well, shit, what if I see him like down the street at the corner panhandling after that? You know, like, do I fuck up his, excuse my language, do I screw up his whole life? That's the problem. Yeah. You know, I've seen, and I have friends too, the same way, like, you know, their son, you know, lives with them and he's a good kid, and but he's older now, not that old, much older, but he's in his late 20s. And, but the same thing, we have that conversation is that, man, if I kick him out. Yeah. He can't handle it. Some of these kids today can't handle it. So it's like, what kind of... so we try to give them tough love, but then they're just not tough. The kids are not tough no more.
I mean, I appreciate you sharing, though, because I'm imagining it. I'm like, yeah, that would be hard, man.
No, yeah.
Because you want to teach them a lesson, but you also are like, man, what if this is
what if
really
it goes
gets
wrong?
worse?
What if it goes wrong?
You know? And honestly, it makes me think about business a lot, too. You know, because I think about that a lot. Like, you know, running an organization, leading it is different than owning it.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and I think that's because your ability to embrace risk varies, right? Like, who's on the shortcoming financially, right? Depending on how you run your operation. You know, I think business owners, like, it can be, there's a level of strengths that come with it, but I think there's weaknesses there too, which is why it's essential to have the right leadership in place. Because I think, well, you know, like, how pro risk, anti risk am I going to be? You know, with some of the decisions I make, knowing the direct implications it's going to have on me financially. Like, you know, and I think like some of your leaders, depending on how open you are and you share with them, are willing to, you know, embrace some of those risks.
Yeah, they'll take it on with you.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like I see similarities in that, man. Like it's always like everything you do in your life, I think, whether it's leadership, whether it's parenting, whether it's, you know, entrepreneurship, like all of these things, I always ask myself, like, what is the component that really controls my emotion? And where do I have the upside and downside? Because I believe that everything in life, like we should be tripling down on our strengths. I quote this book a lot. It's called Who Not How. Who Not How by Dr. Ben Hardy. And he's teaching concepts of a man named Dan Sullivan. And in this book, what I love about it so much, he says, how much time in your life are you going to spend trying to get better at something that you suck at? Like, why wouldn't you just develop like, amazing relationships like this? Treat each other kind and well, you know? And you can all just leverage each other's strengths. Triple down on, like, what you're great at. Because you're happier when you do what you're good at and you love what you do. You know, and when I thought about that, I don't really remember where I was going with this, but it just makes me think that it's very, very important for us to really be thoughtful about what we do, why we do it, what we enjoy, how we live our lives, and assess the impact that comes from, you know, when you're doing something you don't enjoy or when you're afraid or...
Well, I think that happens a lot, though, with people is like, I think there's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, so you're a digital marketer and, you know, that's like me saying, oh, I'm just going to go learn how to do that because I don't want to pay somebody. And I'm going to waste like 500 hours.
Yeah.
And lose like $2 million.
Do the math. Yeah, for sure.
And learn how to be a digital marketer.
That's right.
And I'll probably still suck.
Right.
Right. And so, but that's kind of what you're saying is like, we got to know our role and leverage our relationships. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
That was, you know, when I started the podcast, it was like, okay, there's a few things that this podcast is for. One is to build a platform to for other people, for the guests, right? Build a platform for myself, build my name, right? And then sow seeds. I'm a big proponent of sowing seeds, planting seeds. And what I mean by that is giving nuggets out, giving good information, giving good content, giving, you know, some you're giving out some nuggets today. Those are planting seeds because people are getting it. It's going right inside them and it's going to grow.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you one here, man, because I love what you're saying. You know, Rhino Strategic Solutions, it was a digital marketing company. It's specifically for the home services, and we started in 2008 during a depression, right? You know, and I've been there for like 13 years. We helped take this thing from about 1 to 30 million before we sold to private equity in April of last year. But 2019, I think it was like a very pivotal year for us. I swear there's a point here. We had partnered with Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V, you familiar with him?
VaynerMedia.
Yes. And, you know, when we flew out there, I think like the biggest lesson I took away is like it's like he understood, hey, in digital marketing, like you can really only represent so many businesses in one area ethically. Like you can't have everybody in the air conditioning market in Phoenix, right? Like it's kind of a breach.
Yeah, you pick a couple, 1, 2, 3, and then
like who can you represent ethically, you know, without muddying the waters and so he said, so like what can you do? What can you do to open up and scale? Like, how can you take the Rhino brand and contribute value to more than just that limitation, you know, in that one area? You know, where this is going now, we start a podcast. Yeah. You know, so we started our own podcast called To The Point, Home Services, you know, and it's now today, I mean, it's like one of the most popular podcasts in all of the home services. And we're predominantly like HVAC, electrical, plumbing, you know. But when he had said that, it just opened my mind. Like, it reminds me of what you just said. Like, hey, man, I just want to give value. I just want to give nuggets. Like, I want to help people. But what happens is what you said earlier is like when you give, they're going to take you along the way, man. You know, like the awareness of you, your company, what you're doing here is going to 10x because your heart is in the right place. Like, you'll grow naturally, but like you're here creating something to try and help more people, everyone that you can. That worked for us because in 2019, the Rhino brand became so powerful, man. Like, we are a very well-known brand in our industry. And the brand, what we realized, the brand is everything. Like, the minute you have the brand, it's like my buddy Dan Antonelli says it, like, hey, your marketing, you know, that's the voice. But your brand, like, that's your personality.
Yeah. It's who you are.
And, you know, who you are is how I remember you, right? Like, I'm always going to remember you based upon how you treat me. Like, what's your brand say? You know, building your personal brand, like, to me is very comparable to building your business's brand.
Mm-hmm.
So something you said there, man, it really, you know, I resonated with it a lot, because that was a pivotal moment for us, man. The podcast was a game changer for us, and you keep doing this type of thing, I think it's going to do the same thing too.
And that's what it was. It was like, okay, no one knows me. Like,
yeah,
maybe in the industry, in my industry, right? But until I started the podcast, like, I didn't know anybody. I was not even on Instagram. I was on LinkedIn because it's business. I was just getting jobs from LinkedIn or whatever. And so it's like, okay, no one knows me, but how can I get them to know me?
By giving, you know?
Yeah.
You know what they do a lot, like in you know, the trades that we're heavily involved with is shop tours. A lot of people do that here.
What is it called?
A shop tour.
Shop tour. Oh yeah.
I think that's an amazing.
Yeah, if
thing
it's a
to
customer, or we'll do sometimes. We've done big like safety events, and bring in different vendors, like 20 or 30 vendors, and then I'll invite our So we work a lot for general contractors, and I'll invite them in, show them what we're doing, you know, show them who we are. That's no one's gonna know who you are unless you tell them and show them who you are. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Like, you're just you're really, in everyone's eyes, you're a normal person, right? And we are normal people, but it's like no one is gonna know your skill set, your passion. So they're not gonna know. People who know me now know, like, okay, Chris is a Christian. He's an ordained pastor. He runs a big commercial drywall paint company. Now he has a podcast. Yeah. He's starting an extreme media group. You know, I love UFC. I'm starting to go on this journey now of fitness. So you start to learn who we are, just like we're learning who you are. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, I can rock with that guy. Yeah. You know, and
people get to know you. They like you.
And then you build these relationships. Right. And then one relationship turns into another relationship, and then you get, like, you know, like I went and helped Andy with his one bag at a time, and I hadn't done we've done a lot of nonprofit stuff. We do a lot of that. Yeah. But I hadn't done one in like 4 or 5 months. Yeah. And because we kind of put ours on pause, and so I was like, oh, dude, I haven't done one for a bit. I'm in.
Doesn't it just fill your cup? Like, when you go and you do that, man, like, it just fills your cup.
You're just giving back. Like I've done it so many times. But it's like you're just giving back. Right. And there's usually like a couple of people, like when we're talking about doing with homeless people right now, is usually a couple of them will stand out. Right. And it's like you can have a really cool conversation with them, or you see them like they're like super clean, and I just ask them, why are you out here? Yeah. And they tell you.
They'll tell you.
They'll tell you straight up.
Oh yeah.
I'm a drug addict and I'm trying, and you know, just hard time. Or then you have like the mom out there with a couple kids, and like I got a divorce and I just can't make it, and now I'm sitting in the house, and you know, I'm working on it. I'm waiting to get on Section 8 or something like that. You know, so you have these stories.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, man. Like the one that always stood out to me, because I've done a few of his events now, and when they walk through this line, just so your viewers understand, like, you know, there's all these supplies: shampoo, deodorant, conditioner, you know, some food. And as they go through this factory line, and we're all filling this bag in of like all of the essentials, I think that I remember this one moment where the guy is walking down the line and he's only taking certain things. And I'm like, what's going on here? Why are you only taking certain things? And he says, hey man, I don't want to take too much. I just need what I need to be able to get through this job interview, because this isn't where I'm going to end up. And it just gave me chills.
Yeah, yeah.
Like stories like that. Like, I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah, you know? yeah. And that's why we got to give back. Like, you know, I talked about sowing seeds. I talk about it all the time. And I don't know if you're a Christian or Mormon or anything. Yeah. Are you any? What are you?
And I mean, I was born Catholic, baptized Catholic, and you know, I my wife is a Christian. Yeah. We try to go to church every so often. We could be better.
So like,
but I mean, I love worship music, man. Oceans. Hey, favorite religious song on the
Easter and Christmas.
What's that?
Easter and Christmas. You're at church.
Oh yeah. We celebrate it all. We celebrate it all.
Ocean's a good song.
Yeah,
There's some really good. So like, it was funny because I was telling people like, you know, I grew up listening to gangster rap, you know.
Okay. The 90s gangster rap or
80s,
what?
90s.
80s, 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when it was the best,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
It was so good.
I was born in 1980. I'll be 44 on Sunday.
Right on, man.
And
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So I grew up with all the hardcore, like Eazy-E, DJ Quick. I don't know if you know.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yep.
But so like I try not to listen to too much cuss words now, just because it screws me up.
Yeah.
It takes me back to a place like I don't want to be.
Go.
Yeah.
Back.
So what I do is I'll rock some praise and worship now. Yeah, and now it's like it takes me to a place. So, what like gangster rap songs or oldies songs takes me to a place back where I wasn't living a good life. And when I listen to like good praise and worship or like, you know, Elevation Worship, Maverick City, all those, you know, it takes me to a place where I want to be. And there's a big difference about in your mind of where I was versus where I want to be. And that's what I'm about, dude. I'm all about where do I want to be.
Yeah. Well, you're creating a vision for yourself in your mind too, which I think is powerful. You know, like it's weird. I can think back and I have memories tied to every single song, you know, every single album, you know, because that's what I did, man. Like before I got shot, I was an aspiring musician. I was a front man for a rock band. I would tour the country. I'd do Warped Tour. Like music was my heart and soul, you know, and I would just like, I could listen to songs from albums that are 24 years old and I'd visualize it. I'm like, I was with that person that night doing this exact thing when like I have memories attached to every song, so I can resonate and I understand what you mean. And when you have a song that brings back like a crappy memory, I would avoid it too. You know?
Yeah.
I would for sure listen to the things that, you know, inspire me to visualize where I want to be, and it makes perfect sense to me.
What? So you don't sing no more?
In the shower.
Why not? Why not?
You know, man, like when you got 130 people, like, and I'm all in on self-improvement, leadership, like. I know it's gonna be like a cliche kind of response or a boring answer, man, but like I'm not about that. Like you could say, hey, what do you do? What are your hobbies? Like I'm not trying to go out and drink anymore. Like I'm not saying I don't, but
you might get shot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, dude, but I'll tell you right now, like the gift and the lessons that led to, like,
yeah.
If I knew I was gonna be who I was today from that, I'd call that kid up and say, you want to shoot me again? you know, like.
Yeah.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me, hands down, man. Hands down.
That's so cool. Like,
yeah, I would have never met my wife if I didn't have to go through that lesson. I was different, you know. I was different in my first 25 years than I am today.
Settled you down.
I would have never been at this company, running this company, leading this company if I didn't go through those moments. And like I genuinely believe that. You know, I would have never ended up speaking to all these kids in juvenile hall, you know, a month ago. Like if I didn't go through this, like when you start to count the blessings that were a domino effect and a result of like a traumatic experience, man, it's not traumatic anymore.
No, it's a testimony. That's what we call it.
Well said.
Are you from? Where are you from?
Bergen County, New Jersey.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah, I took a mental note when you said you go to New York a lot. So I have to talk to you.
Dude, we love New York. My wife she wants me to buy some. I'm like, I don't got enough money yet. Give me a little bit. Like,
it's expensive out there.
I know, man. The cost of living. I was like, maybe we go to Jersey or something, but even that's getting expensive now too. And then I don't like the politics. Lifestyle. I don't like the politics over there. Yeah. I'm okay with the lifestyle, fast paced. I'm okay with all that stuff, aggressive, but politics is pretty terrible. So when did you move over here?
Oh man, I was like 6 or 7 years old.
Your parents moved over
Yeah.
here?
My dad got in a little trouble with the mob.
Oh, he's got one of those stories.
I mean, the short version is he worked the garbage truck and just witnessed like a fur heist.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, he was working like the night shift late in Manhattan and watched these guys like back into a complete like a fur. High-end fur store, like back in through the window, smash and grab, witnesses it all, and then it's like a domino effect. The union had some things go down, and
he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he just got to a spot where a buddy told him there's a hit on him, and this is like late 80s at this point. I mean, they show him a paper flyer like with his info on it. Like they're coming for you, man. So like we packed our stuff up and we got out of there. Like,
did you guys move straight over here to Phoenix?
To Arizona? Yeah. My grandmother, his mom, she lived here. So, you know, when we came over, you know, my mom, my dad, they would sleep on the bottom bunk. me and my sister would sleep on the top. We just had one room
Yeah,
as a family. I mean, we were in my grandmother's house, like, so it could be worse. You know, but like we had to embrace a little bit of discomfort and get resettled, and then eventually went into car sales, and he did the hustle, the grind, to the point where we were able to buy the house next door.
Nice.
So I lived that life, man. Like I was going to elementary school, and
What
I would
area?
go knock on grandma's door.
For
Hey, you got
dinner.
any butter?
Yeah, eggs, everything. I get everything.
What did you ask me?
What area?
What area? This is like 35th Avenue, like Greenway. Like
Okay.
I graduated
Right down the
from
street.
Greenway High School,
Yeah.
went to Desert Foothills Middle School, which was like I got to speak at that school. I got to speak to the 7th and the 8th
So cool.
graders.
Yeah.
It was such a special moment, like to come full circle, go back to the school you graduated from and talk to them about the same story, right? The shooting, hardship, you know, what are the things you can do right now in your life that I wish like my parents instilled in me, or that I knew, or I was too high and mighty to like trust their guidance and their wisdom. I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and some of these kids do listen, man. You do help them cut corners.
Well, and some, you know, it's a game changer. They never heard it before. You know, they're like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
And some are on that path of doing good already, and you give them a little extra boost.
Yeah, a little motivation.
And some could care less, right? It takes them a little longer. They got to wait till they're 25, 26, hopefully.
Yep, that's right, man. Listen, for a long time, that was like what scared me, you know? Like earlier I told you, I didn't really start sharing all this so openly, like, till about a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me 11 years to get to that point because I was always scared what people thought. I was scared people would think that I wanted like a pity story, or like I was, you know, sulking for attention. And a buddy of mine, you know, his name's Sean Crane, he basically taught me, he says, like, you're going to spend your entire life worrying about all the people that you can't help, that don't care, you know, that have toxic mindsets, or you're going to spend your whole life focusing on the one or two that will talk about you until the day they're dead because one thing you said or did for them changed their entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was all he had to say. I
Yeah.
never looked back. I'm like, man, I'm going to say everything and anything like as authentically, unapologetically as I can. And I use social media aggressively as a tool to try and, you know, like you, reach out, get expand and create a platform which I can give and I can share and I can help, because that's what makes me happy, man.
Yeah. So, you know, like your story, somebody's calling on text them. So your story / testimony is someone else's victory.
Yeah.
And that's the part we don't understand. That's why we have to tell our story.
That's right.
You know, I grew up rough. I was giving up before I turned 8. You know, 8th grade education. I didn't grow up good.
Yeah, you've been through some things.
And some of it maybe as I got older was self-inflicted, but you know, when you're doing drugs real young and stuff like that, it's not a good story.
Yeah, but look at you today.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's like the thing I told the juvenile kids is I said, it's interesting to me, and I stole this from social media. Funny, right? Like you use the internet to get access to wisdom. But I'd seen it somewhere. They explained to me that like heroes and villains have the same origin story. Have you ever heard of this?
You go ahead.
They both come from pain.
Yeah.
The only difference is how they handle it. You know, you tell me that you're a pastor now and you've got this amazing business. Like you went through pain, but what did you do with it? You harnessed it the right way. Like it's not what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. That's what I've been taught, you know, and I know that we all hear that, but where you stand today, we've all got some kind of pain or hardship. And I try to explain to people, like, it doesn't matter if I got shot twice or somebody just slapped you on the wrist. Like, if it's the worst thing you know, it still feels the worst.
Totally.
And it has the same value. But,
Yeah.
But, you know, I just have to say that, man, because as much as, like, I empathize for some of the things that you may have gone through, like, you seem like a really awesome person right now. So I'm not sorry that you went through that.
No,
because it built you
me
who you
neither.
are.
Like, I could cry about it, and I mention it, you know, but I'm thankful, you know, because I think it made me stronger. It you know, especially when I look back at it more and more, it's like I want to be better more and more.
Right.
And I have the story to tell other people, like,
Yeah.
listen, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, here's what happens.
Yeah.
I know what happens.
You understand the pain, the
You know,
feeling.
You know, I've everything, like, you know, I've been divorced, I bankrupt, you know, a felony, you know, all these different things that normal people don't go through. Well, maybe today normal people do, but that you shouldn't go through. You know, I've went through them all.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, well, you know, like my pain, like I said, my story can be your victory, because all you have to do is listen to what I'm telling you and don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was, so, and then like you said, it was like this, the villain and the hero. I was listening, and I'm going back to like my church stuff. Is I was listening to a sermon this morning. You're like,
I try to look at you and look at everyone else. Like,
It's
I'm
good.
like, there's so many cameras.
So I was listening to this sermon this morning, and it's Stephen Furtick, and he talked about worry, how worry and faith are the same thing. It's just how you harness it. Both are thoughts and things that, like, so faith is the substance of hope, like when you don't see it. You know, you have faith. You want something. You believe in something. You don't see it.
Yeah.
But so is worry.
Yeah.
Worry is a thought of something. You don't see it. You're worried about it. So it's like you have the option to choose two different things.
Right. Do you want to worship a problem, or do you want to worship a result?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's how we have to look at life. Is like, okay, people say like, Chris, well, like, how are you different or whatever? I'm like, my faith is so high. I don't need to recite the Bible to you every day,
Right.
but I just need to live my best life.
Yeah.
And know that, like, that if I do the right things and if I head in the right direction, the doors will open.
That's right.
And if they don't open, it's for a reason.
You're not ready to walk through.
You're not ready to walk through. Like, you know, you have to be prepared. I tell people, God can open a door for you. People pray like, oh, do this, God, and do that, especially when they're having a hard time. And I'll be like, God can open a door for you, but if you ain't prepared to walk through that door, it's useless.
That's
so
right.
That's why we have to live our best life. Now, that's why we have to keep getting better. You love
right.
motivation. I see it on you. You know, that's why it's all about, like, how can I live my best? How can I do my best? Where can I be my best? How do I give back? You know, because if I give back to you, if you give back to him, someone else is going to give back to us that's bigger and better than us.
That's right.
You know, it's that circle of life, that whole, you know, the freaking big bird ate the little bird type thing.
Yeah. Listen, you know, I mean, and like, if there's anything I can give to your audience, it's like if you're struggling to get to where you want to go, I've realized, like, the opportunities start to present themselves when I've really mastered the art of character. And it can't be fake. You know, like, I have to do the right things for the right reasons. Because what I've realized is, like, successful people, business owners, when they reach the heights in which they do, you know, what I've learned is, like, they have to go about life constantly watching their back, because everybody wants a handout. Everybody's looking for a favor, you know. And is it truly an authentic friendship, or is it, hey, can I ride the coattails or get the value? Maybe I just want to be seen in the same room with this person because it makes me look one way. You know, maybe I legitimately trying to get something out of them. You know, and what I've learned is that those people, what they truly appreciate and admire is genuinely good people with good hearts that want nothing from them.
Yeah.
So when I say this, I say, you can't fake this. Character is key. You have to go through the hardship. You have to embrace all these things you and I are talking about, because what it does is it creates a person worth being in the room with the people that will help genuinely take you to the places that you want to go. That's how I've always perceived it. You know, and that's just the truth, guys. Like, I come from nothing. I had nothing, you know, but, like, the things that I went through in my life built me into a person where somebody looked at me and said, I'm going to give this guy a chance. And my appreciation for that chance is why I sit before you today. Like, it wasn't handed, it was earned.
But you ran with it.
That's right.
And you said, I'm going to do my best. And part of it is, like, you would have made that person look foolish.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
No,
And I love that you called that out, man, because it's true. Like, if you really care about people that are there for you, in a way, that was a benefit for me, because when I had gotten shot and I was in the hospital bed, like, that's how I wound up at this company. You know, I mean, I needed a job. I was stuck through a hospital bed. They happened to have, like, something I could do virtually. This is 2012. Like, a virtual job isn't common. You know, they existed, but,
no.
You know, I had a friend of a friend. They said, yeah, I got something you can do. And, I mean, they were there for me at such a difficult moment in my life. Like, do you think I ever want to let that person down? So to your point, you know, it helped. Like, it helped me level up, because I wasn't just working to work. Like, I was working for a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, somebody was there for me in a moment in which I really had no hope. Like, I felt rock bottom.
Yeah.
Begging for a hand for you know, somebody to just believe in me or help me. And when you're in that type of environment, you better believe, like, quitting is not an option for me, man.
I'm glad you placed value on that, because you have to place value on when someone does something for you.
That's right.
You know, don't be so like neglectful. Like, don't just be like, oh, well, you know, yeah, they gave me a job. No, they gave you an opportunity.
That's right.
They gave you something that could change your life. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, and I think a good of risk, like when I have like a risk assessment that I put into that, like I think it's gratitude.
Yeah.
Like if you meet somebody and they are extremely grateful, that person is ready. I think you can bet on them in this moment in which we're describing. Like if I'm trying to give a handout or bet on somebody, the level of their gratitude tells me this person is going to appreciate this so much that they're willing to go through the mud. They're willing to like, you know, walk with me through the storm. Mm-hmm. Like this person isn't going to walk away because they know they've got, you know, a debt to pay that I'm not asking them to pay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's how I make my decisions. Like, because it's not always about what can I gain and where can I go. Like, it's also about who can I take with me, because I begged for somebody to take me there. You know, it's not always about you. You know, that's what Lou said. And today, that's how I make my decisions. You know, like I try to spend every moment obsessed with improvement and leadership, and you know, I want to go places just like you, but just like we go and we give back, right? To Andy's charity, like we have to make decisions on when it makes the most sense to spend time taking somebody else, and it's their show. It's not always our show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Got me going there, man. I'm fired up now.
I love it. It's true. It's true. Like everything you're saying is so true. You know, we have to, I tell, like when we hire, so I've hired hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guys, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I like the ones that are grateful.
Yeah.
When
you
they
hire
come
for
in,
character or skill?
Yeah, character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too.
I've hired a lot of skill, like they don't show up. They think they're the best. They don't want to listen. Pain in the butts.
Construction's hard, man. I feel like it was that way when I did it too. Like,
but this is any industry. Like when you look at any industry, they're all the same. People will lie to you. They'll tell you they're the best. They'll, you know, all these different things. And now it's like when I'm interviewing a guy or something, he's like, man, you know, even if they're good or not good, whatever, it's like when they're thankful, because something went bad before, and they're thankful for this other opportunity. I'm like, this guy's gonna work for me. And if he works for me, I'm working for him.
That's right. I love so much that you said that, man. I love so much. Like we put these org charts where, like, you know, the CEO is at the top, and I think we really just need to kind of flip it.
Yeah.
I really do, man. Like that was something I learned from Gary Vee. Like these people don't work for me, man. I work for them. Like my job is to keep you uncomfortable. It's to challenge you and create opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
You know, and part of that is like, I need you to fall. Like I need you to feel what it's like to fall, but I'm going to catch you. Like, I'm not going to let you, you know, like that's my job, man. It's to challenge you. It's to keep you uncomfortable. And when you hit that ceiling, that level of growth, then I switch my gears, and it's my job to cheer for you and believe in you, like, so that you can tune out that voice of discouragement, because that's when the level up happens, man. Yeah.
And it's our job as leaders, like, you know, like us, is we get, you know, new projects and stuff like that. Like we got to feed these guys.
That's right.
I tell the guys, they go, what do you do here? I don't do nothing. Right. I go, but I have to make sure that you get paid.
That's right.
I have to make sure you're able to take care of your family. That's my job. You go and do your work. I'll figure out how to get you your paycheck.
That's right.
You know, not that I have a hard time getting paycheck. But,
but I think that's like your vision has to be big enough for everyone else's well-being to fit into it.
Yeah.
That's how I've always described it. You know, like you have to see the future of this organization in a way that most people can't, and you have to help translate that to them. That's what I've always thought.
Yeah, I love it, dude. You know what? The Rhino teams, like, they should be thankful to have you on their team.
Hey, I appreciate you saying that, man. But
if you're a Rhino, what do you guys call yourselves? Rhinos?
Rhino Strategic Solutions.
If you're a Rhino, you better be thankful for this guy. Give him a raise.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But the truth, man, is that who they need to be thankful for is the founders, man. Like these two, they're my mentors, you know, and this is their vision. Like what you get from me is 13 years of their beliefs. Yeah. I just bought in, you know, they were there for me.
But you didn't have to.
Yeah, that's true, you know. And that's why I feel like that's where the credit goes.
And I like the fact that you have ownership. Yeah. Like, the best, you know, you don't always have to be number 1, number 2. You can be number 3, number 4 and still kill it.
Right.
But you got to take ownership.
Oh, yeah, man. Everybody asks me all the time if I own the company, you know. And that to me is the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
You know, like my heart lies within leadership, you know, and it's very fulfilling to be able to take two people that bet on me at the lowest point in my life and help their dream come true, help them build something that they always aspired it to be, to get to a spot where they can sell it to private equity. And to be clear, like it wasn't even an exit merger. Like these two are still working their butts off. Like in these offices next to me, they're trying to take this thing to an even bigger level and do things that are, you know, almost unimaginable to some people, you know, but to be able to get to that checkpoint, man, I think that's like a trophy in my mind that I will always appreciate, because I felt like I was able, you know, to pay that debt. And they will never, ever say, like, you had a debt to pay. Like, that's all in my head.
Yeah.
But it's in my head because, like, it keeps me inspired and motivated and fulfilled. Like, I come to work and it's more than just a job, because in my mind, there's so much more that I'm going for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they peeled you off the freaking bed.
That's right, man. And I think, like, all of us, no matter what level in the company you're at or what you're doing it for, that's what you have to do. You have to find a way to take your life and understand, like, it's so much more. It can be a job if that's all you want to look at it. But the truth is that every job impacts something at such a deep level if you really look for that. And if you can tap into that, man, like you will light a fire that will never go out.
Dude, I could never be. So I've been in construction. I went to 1 month of high school, and then I was messing around, but I would get these little construction job, and then finally I went to Phoenix Job Court, 16.5 to 17.5. And then got into construction, but I never worked at like a grocery store or a food store or anything like that, restaurant, nothing. But it's the impact of, what you learn and how you're teaching, and the team that grows with you, and the thankfulness, like all that stuff matters. So it's not like what industry you're in and you have to be thankful or whatever. It's like, if you get the opportunity, take it and run with it.
Oh yeah.
Don't like, do your best no matter what. Like, I've never not done my best. I can't even imagine like just having a job, and I did have a job, and just doing the job.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Like I don't even know what that even means, to just do the job. It's like, what do you need me to do? Okay, I need to I remember, I'll tell you a story and then we'll wrap it up. And I've said this story before, is so I literally lived the life of like rich dad, poor dad. I met my rich dad when I was 25, my real dad.
Yeah, I've read this book, so I know exactly what you mean.
I met my real dad at 25. And so, but I was raised by Paul, my stepdad, that took me in right before I turned 8. And so Paul was a little negative. He loved me. He taught me a lot of things. I learned how to use my hands from him. And but I remember when I was 18 years old and I worked for this company. And, he knew like I was a troublemaker, but I was a hard worker. Like I could dust people, but I was still a troublemaker, and I did drugs, and I was all these things.
Distracted.
I was all these things, right? And so I get this job. I get going to the industry I'm in now, and he says, "Hey, whatever you do, don't take the keys from no one." And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, what does that mean?
Like, well, if I think he told me a story when he was working, like, if something gets missing or whatever, you're gonna get blamed and all this. And I was like, in my mind, I was just like, because I thought different than Paul.
Yeah.
I thought like the rich dad, like all the time. And I'm like, shit, give me those damn keys. So he literally told me this, and then like it was like a couple days later, I get moved to a job. So I think right before I turned 18, a new foreman. I'm working with a new foreman, and the first day, he goes, "Hey, here's the keys just in case I don't show up or I'm late. Open the gate, get us set up, take the tools out, do this, that." I'm just learning. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this, bro.
Yeah.
And
it's the ultimate form of trust.
Yeah. So that's like a Tuesday or Wednesday, right? The 4 days go by. Monday comes. I'll drive up to the job site. There's cops there.
Oh no!
I pull in and I have no idea what's going on. The cops are there. They hit me up, right? I'm not even 18 yet, and I have like 6 or 7 felony charges as a juvenile, and they already have my name around everything. They're like, "Chris Estrada, did you steal these tools?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? What do you mean did I steal the tools?" "Well, you're the only one that has a key."
Oh no!
And I'm like, "Hey, listen, I'm not the only one that has the key. First of all, that dude also has a key." You know what I mean? But it was that the way I thought was like, I never just wanted a job.
Yeah.
I always wanted more, and I knew in order to have more, I had to do more.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And
That's
now
right.
where I'm at in my state of life is not only do I have to do more, I have to be more, I have to learn more, I have to give more, and then I got to keep doing those things all over again.
That's right.
Right. So,
Dude, I want to thank you for sharing that story. It's wild. So, like, did he pin it on you, or?
yes, but I didn't get in trouble. And then, so what ended up happening is I got fired. And so, like, years later, because I've been in the industry for a long time, I met all kinds of dudes, hired dudes, fired dudes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so what he ended up being the son of like one of the main dudes, and he stole the stuff. He was a drug addict.
Like that.
They all knew it. Everyone knew it. They couldn't pin it. And in years, it was like 7 years later, I hired somebody. I was working for another company. I hired someone. They're like, yeah, oh yeah, it came out. He stole it all. He was on drugs. He ended up having to go to rehab, and I'm like, that little bastard.
Yeah, you tried to get crazy with you, man.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm like, I'm about to go to jail. And Paul over here told me not to take the keys. I'm taking the keys.
Yeah.
You know, if you give me the keys though, but like I tell people, like, you give me all your money, and I'm not going to touch it. You know, I grew up bad. I did grow up bad, but I was a good kid that liked to do bad things.
For sure, man.
But I was always an honest and integral guy. So if you said, hey, here's like right now, if you gave me like $20,000, I just go home and put it away.
Yeah.
Boom, it's there because I don't need your damn $20,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there that could be deemed as bad people or doing bad things, you know, and I think that at the core of them, there is some type of level of, ethical standards, or there's a reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a reason that you're doing something that bad.
Dude, that was me as a kid. Like, like I didn't like
There's a heart in there. That's what I mean.
I had friends, like, and I can't tell all the stories, but like bad friends, hardcore gangsters, and like the little kid that shot you, that was us. But like, I was always the one that like had a heart. Yeah. Like, you know, when they were jumping, 5 people jumping one, I didn't want to even jump in. Right. I'm like, God, why? In my mind, I'm like, why are they beating the shit out of them? I had to be there. Yeah. You know, why you want to go do this? Why you want? But I like to rush or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we all get distracted with different things.
Yeah, and it's just product of your environment. Now, for me, it was a product of my environment. Once I changed my environment, I was able to change my thought process and bring out that heart. You know what I mean? Because it's always in there. I just had to change my environment.
That makes perfect sense, man. You know, like, and I'll tell you, something you said there triggered this thought. Like, if I can find this kid, I mean, today he'd be 25. I mean, I've called victim services in Maricopa. I know his name. I'm not going to share it, but I've been looking for this kid. And you're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you, I just want to have dinner with him. I'll pay the bill, man.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah. Like, I don't have an angry bone in my body. Like, I just want to understand. You know, like, I want to understand what he was thinking. I want to understand, like, is he okay now? You know, like, did he learn from that?
Is he in prison?
I'm totally okay with taking 2 if it really turned your entire life around. Like, you're doing incredible things now. Like, I'm not angry about that. You know, like, genuinely. But then there's also a part of me, you know, in my heart, like, I'm like, well, he didn't get put away, man. He was dismissed without prejudice because it was my word against his, and I wasn't willing to say that I was 100% sure. I said I was 99% sure to the prosecutor. So he dismissed it. He let it go. But still, to this day, I've always wondered, like, did he go out and hurt somebody else? Did he go out, like, is somebody else suffering because I didn't say what I was supposed to say in that moment, and I didn't want to, like, determine the fate of a 13-year-old kid? I don't know why, man. I just felt like that's a good way to wrap this up, because it's like, that's gonna happen one day, man. You watch. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna find a way to just sit down. You know, to me, that's the ending of the book that I'm trying to write.
Yeah. Some closure.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Dude, I appreciate you having me. This was really fun.
One last word for the audience, a little nugget. What you got?
You know, earlier you said I'm always trying to figure out, you know, like, that, hey, what more can I do? Yeah. Reverse that. That's right. But, like, my nugget is, ask yourself, what is everyone, what can you do that everyone is not doing? It sounds like it's the same thing, But I promise you, if you just say it to yourself in your mind both ways,
No, it's completely different.
it is completely different. Doing as much as you can is great, but looking for the one thing that no one does to stand out, it's completely different. And I think that really helped me, man. And then the last thing I'd say is just genuinely thank you. Like, I know this is an hour of your time, man, and time isn't promised. I know you got some stories, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more of them, at a later time. And thank you guys back there for making me look twice as cool as I really am.
Yeah. No, it's so good. I appreciate it. There it is. You got to be different. And different, a good different.
That's right.
Don't be like this woke different. Be a good different.
That's right.
We didn't even get into politics. I usually get into politics. Be a good difference. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
Out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us. Check us out, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're all over the place. Just support us. Be blessed.